Hi, welcome to this episode of Founder's Journey. And today I have someone who I know for a long time, and I'm glad to have him on the show. Moe Latif, how are you?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm great. Thanks for having me, Jeff. It's been a while.
It has been a while. So I am just doing a background intro. I have known Mo since 2012, and I think when him and Toga co-founded a company called AgencyZoom, which is a CRM software company for insurance agents. I was maybe the first five, if not the first 10 customer they had over there. At the time, it was like, wow, someone made something so easy for agents to use. And it caught on like wildfires, and you guys priced it right. So I am so glad to have you on the show to tell the journey of your experience. And I'm going to turn it over to you. If you can, just walk us through what made you guys get started, who had the idea, and how that journey was like.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, man. It's been actually since 2016. You've most likely known Toga longer than me. He was an Allstate agent before this whole thing started. He brought us into the Allstate world and into the agent world, to be honest, because initially it's actually me, Toga, and this third founder, his name is Xiao Bin. He's on the technical side. Him and I were working in corporate, and we wanted to start something. We didn't know what. Oftentimes, the a lot of people want to start their own business, but trying to identify a problem and solving it is usually finding the right problem is the catalyst that you know pushes you forward and determines your path. So from the get-go, we did not know what we wanted, but we knew that we wanted to solve a problem rather than innovating something new. And we knew that we wanted to be in somewhat of a niche industry. So I had no idea how to identify that problem. I actually watched a YouTube video. I remember I still trying to find a YouTube video. There's this dude standing in front of a fireplace, supposedly like in a big mansion, sort of like that guy, like, hey, I'm in my garage. Here's all my cars, something like that. And he was talking about, how you identify problems to solve. And for whatever reason, what he told me stuck with me. And I actually executed on it. So he said, all you have to do is write down the names of people that you know and ask him a simple question. Hey, here's my skill set. Could you use the skill set to solve a problem that you already have? Now, obviously, as I'm going through this, me and Xiaobin trying to identify a problem, Toga he's crushing it in the Allstate world, right? He opened an agency. He does a way better job of explaining his story, of course, but I'll try to do my best. He was in the top 1%. He was one of the fastest growing agents, and he was doing phenomenal, right? As he grew so fast, he was experiencing growth pain, and mainly, and this, a lot of the growth pain usually comes due to either lack of process or resources. So what he discovered was that his sales team, instead of spending more time selling, they're starting to now service the clients that they sold are now calling them back and asking for, an ID card or instructions on how to pay and so on and so forth. So cleverly, he figured out a way to identify what the problem is, which is actually really ingenious. All he did was he asked his team to write down all of the requests that they're receiving from clients they've already sold and just put a check mark right next to every single request to identify why are people calling his team back, and to identify how a problem. He's essentially trying to do the same thing that I'm doing, trying to identify a problem so he can grow. So as he's doing that, I'm thinking of all the names that of the people that I know, and I'm trying to figure out how to ask him the question that will help me identify a problem. His name was number two on the list. The first name was actually my uncle. He was a dentist at the time, and I was trying to figure out like, hey, do you have any, I we know how to streamline solutions. Me and my technical partner here would like to create a software that will help you solve existing problems, so on and so forth. And that obviously did not go anywhere. The second person that I called is Toga. Now, I've known Toga since 2000, maybe 1999, since high school, for a while there. So he's one of my best friends, and I picked up the phone and called him. My initial call was like, hey, can you connect us with Allstate? I was thinking, like corporate rather than just where we ended up. He's like, well, why? And I explained to him what we're trying to do. He's like, well, dude, I have this like welcome packet that I created to help me, solve XYZ problem, which is what we just discussed. And it would be great maybe if we can streamline that and start selling it to agents. I'm like, do you think really agents would like buy a solution that would create a welcome packet? He's like, yeah, absolutely. I've had agents that offered me to buy this welcome packet that he created using Visual Basics. He thinks he's a programmer. He says all the time, but he's a pretty smart guy, technical guy. So he created this using Visual Basics.
He's a very smart guy. He was the valedictorian of Ohio State, right?
I think so. Yeah, he's one of the smartest dudes that I know. He's charismatic, great dude. I'm sure a lot of people know him. So I was like, dude, you really sure you can? This will sell? He's like, yeah. I was like, all right. And yeah, that's how we began. And it was just, identifying that problem. That now, lucky for us, because of his hard work growing his agency, he made a name for himself in the Allstate world. So that name really helped us. It was sort of like a growth hack, right? With the right solution, with the right marketing. It was word of mouth. We actually never spent $1 on marketing. And you said it was priced right. It was actually, I believe, it was a little bit on the cheaper side. It was like $40 a month, or something along those lines. And we've seen really good growth the first few months, and then it was sort of, we needed to work harder on spreading the word and getting the word out there. Now, fast forward from 2016 to 2018, we started to realize that we need to expand beyond Allstate, right? Because up until 2018, we had probably 1,800, 2,000 agencies, which is phenomenal for Allstate. But we quickly realized there's a ceiling there, right? There's only 10,000 Allstate agents at the time. I don't know how many there are right now. So there's a ceiling. It's unrealistic to assume that we're gonna expand to 100% of the market share. So we started exploring what next can we do. And at the time, we were still just on the onboarding phase of the client journey, right? So the way that I categorize the client journey in the insurance industry is that the first phase is that track. That's your marketing. That's where your market, that's where you're buying leads or you're advertising on Google. Then once someone opts in, then you're at the prospecting phase, right? So that's when you're actually selling them, quoting them, so on and so forth. Then you're onboarding. Then you're going to renew and service. Okay. So we were in the onboarding phase. And I don't want to use the onboarding phase, it's the middle finger here. So we were still there, and once we tried to expand into the independent world, we quickly realized like onboarding, and as Toga would say it, is service is the fruit and sales is the root, right? Without sales, there's no service. Same thing with onboarding. Without sales, there's no onboarding. So we quickly realized we're in the middle of the customer journey. We need to move more forward into the customer journey. We need to start where prospecting comes in. I don't want to be a part of marketing, et cetera. That's a really competitive space, and there's just too many rules and regulations there, TCPA, et cetera, et cetera. So we quickly started to look at ways to help agents deepen their roots, grow their book of business before we focus on expanding our onboarding functionality. And that's where we started to explore outside of Allstate and started to look at the independent world. And fast forward to today, we've grown exponentially since then, and it's just been an amazing journey. So I can take you back to sort of like, I think it will be, one of the biggest challenges that we've seen once we started to go into the independent world has been from the beginning is resistant to change. So there was one of the challenges that we faced. The other challenges that we faced were really around just how do we get the right data into AgencyZoom so that we can have AgencyZoom help turn that data into meaningful actions. Ironically, one of the first AMSs that we integrated with is QQ Catalyst, Vertafore. We ended up obviously getting acquired by Vertafore, and currently I manage QQ Catalyst, the system that helped us really, expand into the independent world, and take us to the position that we're in today. So
There's a lot to dive into. So
yeah,
there's technical development changes, and then there's personnel development changes. You guys were going from 3 people, and then you started taking all these new customers. I mean, 2,000 new agents in a short span of a year, it's a lot of growth. And then you start growing your team. Can you talk about that?
it's a lot of challenges. Mainly, we were still sort of like, you know, doing this and our day jobs because we're not making money. We were reinvesting everything back into the business. And one thing that I think we did right from the beginning and go back into the cost is that I did not want cost to be a factor. If for whatever reason, it's call it whatever you want. I think we were more focused on adding value than extracting value. We're more focused on like giving, value. I would rather like give more value than uh I would rather leave money on the table than take all the money off the table and not give you a good ROI. I think that was our philosophy. Toga, Xiaoben, myself, we're aligned on this. Like we just want to focus on a good product. And because we focused on giving value and a really good product, it made it easier to sell. So we didn't need as much sales and as much marketing spend. It made it easier to service as well. And we focused heavily on making it easy to use. Toga always used to say insanely easy, and it was insanely easy to use. So because we focused on that, it became much easier to manage and scale with limited resources. I think we hired our first employee like 2017. It was someone who helped us really just answer questions and train clients. And then we hired a first salesperson. Don't quote me on this. I think December of like 2019, maybe 2020, somewhere on there. So way later in the journey. And it's all because of the philosophy that we had, which is create really, really, really good product that gives insane value, and it's really easy to use, and just be honest about what we're giving to our customers and not focus so much on how much we're taking from the customers, and that will come later. So that made it really easy for us, and it paid off exponentially for us. And that was, I believe, one of the fundamental strategies that we focused on. Oftentimes, I see new startups out the get-go without really having a good name for themselves, without having a good proof of concept. They go out there, they launch a product, and they're charging. I mean, some of our competitors were charging 5-6 times what we were charging, and they came to the scene like 5-6 years later, with less functionality, not not as much overhead, even just straight out the get-go. They're doing it because for whatever reason, our intent was different. My intent was never, and Xiaoben's and Toga's intent was never to like, let's do this to make money. I think intent really matters. I think the intent is the core of everything that we do. It's like, why are you doing this? Our why is really powerful. And our why was from the beginning. It's like, let's solve a problem and have fun doing it. And if we make money, great. I don't think any of us expected it to explode to the position that it is today.
In the beginning, even though your thought process was we have software for onboarding to help customers have links to enrollment, links to service contact, links to, the corporate websites, all that stuff. But soon you guys became a data and analytics for sales tool. And, yes, we use it for onboarding, but at the end of the day, all the agents were so prideful, screenshotting like, hey, this is my daily sale, this is my weekly sale, this is my monthly sale, and use it as measurement bar.
Yeah.
You guys never got into having your own voice over IP systems. You integrated with everybody else. When did you guys start integrating with all the phone systems? Thank you for watching this video. Now a quick message from our sponsor, Mav.
Thanks, Jeff. I want to let you all in on a secret that top producing agencies don't want you to know about. If you're in P&C insurance, you know firsthand how much you're getting squeezed by your call center. It's becoming less predictable and less economically profitable to scale. But here's the thing. The top producing agencies making over $100 million are not running their leads through a human-based call center. They're running them through an AI expert like Mav to qualify, quote, and hand deliver the highest intent qualified leads to your agents. Mav takes care of the back and forth, having unlimited 24/7 conversations with your leads that are personal and relevant so you can scale to the moon. Ready to ditch your call center and 10x your agency? We're giving the listeners of insurtech $15,000 worth of credit to try Mav. Head to hiremav.com/insurtech to claim this offer.
When we started to think outside of the Allstate world, we started to think of all the core technologies that agencies are that depend on. So the number one system is AMS, agency management system, right? That's where all their policy data lives. Okay. Number two is email, and then of course VoIP. So when we think holistically, there was going back into insanely easy, sticking to that mantra. It's not insanely easy to require agencies to switch VoIP systems, to switch AMS systems and email in order for them to use a new system that they're not even sure that's going to work or not work, right? So we had to think about this from barriers to entry. What would make an agent want to use our system? Well, how much value we give them. That's the positive. What would want an agent not use our system? Resist, which would be the switching cost. So we had to make sure that the switching cost is really low. With that in mind, the answers became really obvious. So thinking from first principle perspective, if I am an agent, what would I want to do? Well, I would want a plug and play, a system that I can just sign up in less than 5 minutes, input a credit card, voila, it's ready for you. You go to integrations, you select your VoIP provider, you click integrate, type in your username and password, and you're done, right? Now, there's obviously caveats to this. We can't possibly integrate with every VoIP and every AMS out there. So if we don't integrate with your VoIP provider, there's you can create a Twilio account, for example, and use it as a bridge. Yes, of course, it has its downsides, but realistically speaking, we can't just integrate with everyone. We look at 80-20 rule. So it wasn't really specifically like, hey, yeah, let's now integrate with VoIP providers. It was more of focused on reducing the switching costs and making it really easy for agents to sign up to a new solution that we truly believe to our core that it's going to help them grow their business. And when you think about it from that way, answers become much easier, to any question that you have. And it becomes much more obvious what you need to integrate with and what you need to work with. So fast forward to today, AgencyZoom integrates with several VoIP providers. We integrate with every single AMS that we're able to integrate with, and there's some AMSs we're not able to integrate with. We integrate with raters that we can integrate with. We integrate also with every single email provider, and we integrate with tools like Zapier, and I know a lot of technologies do that right now, which allows us to by proxy integrate with thousands of other applications as well. So integration is core because it goes back into that core principle of making it insanely easy, reducing the cost for the agents, and also integration helps streamline your processes, right? Like the value for you when we integrate is that you're no longer having to input information into multiple systems. You're no longer having to pick up the phone and like look at the screen and just type in whatever. You can just press a button and now you can call. You no longer have to input, Jeff Shee into my AMS and AgencyZoom, right? You can just input it into one system and then the integration will take care of it. And you no longer have to worry about E&O issues because we log all that information automatically. And depending on the VoIP system, we even may log the recording call and the time that it took. And, you can go back and listen to the call directly from AgencyZoom now. So it's really, we don't try to think of like things from a micro level. We try to think holistically. And when we do, it really helps us identify what we need to do next.
You guys started expanding into the independent world. What was the moment like when you guys decided, let's figure out if we can go to exit, and where did Vertafore come from?
Our first exposure to the independent world, I think it was like the IAOA conference. I think that was the conference. I mean, I wish I had Toga here to help me remember this. Him and I used to carry our booth around duct taped, and we used to, our biggest pain in the ass was trying to figure out the next TV to buy at these events because we don't want to lug it around and ship it. We didn't have money. We were just like, worst of all, we used to share hotel rooms and, and whoever's lucky would sleep on the couch because it was just, we could not afford. If we were lucky, we'd had a couch, in these hotel rooms because we could not afford to like have our own hotel rooms. We could not afford to have our own nice booths to take to these conferences. So we took our raggedy booth to, I think it was IAOA, trying to sell AgencyZoom that was designed for Allstate agents, right, to independent agents. And that was like the biggest realization was like, holy moly, we're out of our depth here. What is an AMS? Okay. You need to integrate with AMS. You need all these different solutions integrated that we've never even heard about. So
Raiders integrate with all the Raiders.
Raider didn't even come in until later. The biggest one was AMS. And so we went back. We were like, okay, we need to rethink our strategy. Or we can't take a solution that was created for Allstate agents and go and sell it to independent agents. That's when we learned that if you meet, one Allstate agent or one captive agent, you've met them all. But if you meet one independent, you've met one. So the next conference that we went to was Accelerate. Is actually coming up for Vertafore in Cincinnati, I believe. Okay, and what we wanted to do was integrate with QQ Catalyst at the time, and I got a hold of he's still at Vertafore right now. I still thank him for giving us the opportunity. His name is Doug Moore. I used to actually have him in an automation, asking him every single Monday. He would receive an email from me, hey, can we integrate with QQ Catalyst? Can we integrate with QQ Catalyst? Until he allowed us to do that. And when we integrated with QQ Catalyst, that really opened the door for what's next for the independent world. That was like step one. Obviously, there was a lot more that we needed to do, but that was the first step, is getting agents access to their policy data from within AgencyZoom and streamlining the workflow so that you're not having to type in the data twice, right? So how do we get it? How did we get to this point today? From that point on, growth has been exponential, and we have grown our partnership with Vertafore. We've expanded on our integration with QQ Catalyst. We've shown them that we can be a good partner because now AgencyZoom became a differentiator. AgencyZoom became the differentiator between QQ Catalyst and another system. If you're working out of AgencyZoom and you're working out of AMS and you ask your team which system they prefer, they would say AgencyZoom because it's much easier to use. It's a lot more intuitive, and but at this point, it's designed to help you sell. So therefore, it makes sense for you to spend more time there. So if you ask agents, hey, would you rather have a system that integrates, an AMS that integrates with AgencyZoom, or an AMS that doesn't, the answer is always going to be, I'm going to go for the AMS that integrates with AgencyZoom. And because of that, we've shown that we're a really good, strong partner for Vertafore. And our partnership has grown since then. We've expanded into like AMS 360. We've integrated with them, integrated with Peel Raider. And how we came to this point is really, as we grow in our partnership, and as our business started to grow, we quickly realized that we need to inject more money. We need more resources. You know, up until this point, we've never raised money at all. Our prices were so at $79 and $99 a month, even though that we had like 3,000 agencies right before the acquisition. We've increased our prices a little bit, but we were trying to stick true to what we did from the beginning. We want your ROI to be exceptionally high. It became obvious that working with Vertafore for the long term is the right decision, simply because they were with us from the beginning. They're the ones that gave us the first opportunity to integrate. They're the ones that really believed in us from the beginning. They're the ones that supported us. And they're the ones that also allowed us to continue on the same path that we began from the beginning. You know, I'm still at Vertafore. Xiaoben is also with me as well. Toga is an entrepreneur at heart. He's not a corporate guy. He's doing great things. He's a co-founder of another product called Goodwin. So it became really obvious that they're the right choice for us. And, you know, till this day, we're still expanding integrations outside of the Vertafore suite to the point where we're even integrating with competing products with Vertafore, because they truly want to make sure that we stick to what we promised our clients, which is being platform agnostic and going back into the why from the beginning, which is solving problems for our agents without being biased. I can't say like, oh yeah, I'm gonna, you know, now not integrate with this AMS because I'm part of a company that competes. That's not the case. And it's been a great choice for us and a great journey for us. And I'm really excited for what's to come, because like I mentioned, now we're running, not only do we run AgencyZoom, but we're also running QQ Catalyst, and we're doing some amazing things there as well for our agents.
I want you to just go into, if you don't have to, but you know, I'd love for you to go into what's the day like that you got decided to sell. What's the emotional feeling like between you and the two other co-founders?
Man, before selling, it's you go through a journey, like a really, really, really stressful, fun journey that's full of ups and downs, right? The day that we signed, I mean, I just broke down in tears at the day they were sold. It was just sort of like this excitement, sadness, like confusion, you know, all the emotions. Like, did we do the right decision? What are we gonna do next? What's gonna happen? Now someone else owns our baby. Like, it's just, I don't know how to describe it. I'm sure, you know, feels very much like raising a child and then seeing them getting married and moving on. Like, that's probably the closest thing that I can match it to. But yeah, it was a great feeling. Looking back at it, it was a great choice. You know, there was right before the moment of signing, like right the minute before, there's just you don't even think, it hasn't even hit you yet, right? Because you're working through the diligence period, you're working so hard, you're trying to still run a business at the same time. And it did not hit me until even like that evening. I mean, it was just like,
Would y'all go to celebrate after signing?
just, I don't know, restaurant, dinner,
Do you
nothing.
still remember what you ordered?
Wherever I go, I order steak. If there's on the menu, that's what I order. I think we still need to fully celebrate. There's a lot to celebrate that we have not fully celebrated yet. I just texted Toga last week. I'm like, let's grab dinner, and it's just every week we're like, hey, let's grab dinner, and we just, you know, life takes us a different direction. But
Mo, are you in Columbus?
yeah, I just moved to Columbus. I moved back.
Yeah. Next time I'm in town, I'm hitting you up.
Yeah, please. Yeah, we'll get Toga and you and me together, and would be great to recap in person and meet you.
So what's on the docket? What's on the agenda? You said a lot of great things coming. What's coming for AgencyZoom? What's coming for QQ? Thank you for all your support to our channel. Here is a quick word from our sponsor. Please click on the link below in the comment section to sign up for a demo with Track AI.
What if your insurance sales conversations could work harder for you? Meet Track, your AI-powered conversation intelligence partner. Track automatically captures and analyzes every customer interaction, providing instant call summaries, risk analysis, and AI-driven coaching insights. Say goodbye to manual note-taking and hello to more selling time. Track handles the admin work while you handle the revenue. Fully integrated with your favorite platforms. Plus, get custom AI analysis tailored to your unique business needs. Transform your sales team's performance with Track. Visit track.ai today.
Click the link in the description below to schedule a demo with Track today.
For QQ, I took it over last year, November of 23. I mean, you said there was a lot of personal and a lot of changes that we had to have to adapt to as we built AgencyZoom. I mean, truly, like you when you've never done it before, you have no idea if you're doing the right thing or not. You're constantly guessing yourself, and at some point you just got to pull the trigger and just move on, right? With QQ, it was a little bit different because with AgencyZoom, we're like, I have no idea what we're doing. Let's try new things. Let's just keep moving. Like, let's keep moving fast. QQ, actually, I took it over in November of 23. My boss, James, he's a head of product here at Vertafore, is like, hey, here's an opportunity. Would you like to help us take on QQ? And I said, yeah, for sure. I went in there with a typical founder arrogance. Post-acquisition founder arrogance. Like, yeah, we just sold the company. We're the shit. By the way, I don't know. Hopefully we can cuss. We're the shit, right? So went in, quickly was humbled because I went in thinking like I'm wearing the same hat, same thought process as I did building a new functionality. Like we're just gonna do things. We're gonna do it quickly. We're gonna do X, Y, Z. That was not the case with QQ. It's a product that's been around for 20 plus years, thousands of agencies, and it just has deep roots in a lot of agencies. Yeah. You have to take a completely different approach. You can't release as quickly. You can't make changes as quickly. You can't move as quick as we did in AgencyZoom. So 6 months into it, I had to think a little bit differently. I'm like, okay, I can't approach this the same way that we approached AgencyZoom. And I just shut up and I listened, just asked questions and I listened. And I tried to figure out what are the pain points? What are we doing here? So the first thing that we need to figure out is like, how do we make sure that we create a foundation that we can build on top, that we can get to the point where we were with AgencyZoom so that we can move quickly. So last year, that's all we did. We've built a solid foundation for QQ. We've updated a lot of the infrastructure components. It's a stable, strong system that you can rely on. We wanted to make sure that, of course, there's always opportunities to grow, but our main focus was foundationally. We wanted to make sure that our team is able to develop quickly. We went through a lot of any product that gets acquired by corporate, it gets sucked into bureaucracy. So we made sure that a lot of the red tape, a lot of the processes that currently existed, tossed it in the sink, and we got back into basics. So that's what we did in 24. The amount of updates that we made in 24 product-wise to the product is more than what QQ had released in the last 3 years. There's a lot of changes that we did in the last 12 months. So now what do we do next? We want to be able to release quickly. We want to be able to get things out to our clients quickly. But if you're relying on a system every single day and that system has deep roots in your processes, I can't just all of a sudden release a functionality and without disrupting your day-to-day processes. So one thing that we're doing this year is we're releasing a new version of QQ later this year. But the way that we're doing it, it's similar to what we did with AgencyZoom when we released a new feature, is that we're adding an ability for users to toggle between their current QQ version, current production environment, to a beta environment. And they can work out of both systems. But if you like the new system and you prefer to work out of the new, nicely designed, modern, intuitive AMS, great. Switch to that AMS, work out of that AMS. And if you're still like, you know what, I'm not ready for that kind of change, I want to still work out of my existing AMS, great. Stay into your existing AMS. So that's what we're doing this year. We're also focusing a lot on simplifying, bringing back to agency management systems back to what they're supposed to be doing, which is policy management, right? That's what it's all about. It's all about policy and client data. We're getting back into the basics. There's a lot of updates that we're making. So we're making it easier for our clients to export data, import data, and manage and search data from within AMS. So that's what's happening with AMS World, with QQ, okay? With AgencyZoom, the main focus for me right now is AI. There's a lot of obviously talk about AI. I really want to make it easy for our customers to get themselves onboarded into AgencyZoom, get their content created using AI. There's no need for you to spend hours training and spend hours trying to create content when we have tools and technologies that will help streamline that entire onboarding process. The other thing for us with AgencyZoom is that we're working to expand our functionality to address the Access Plus market. Similarly to Allstate, there's the EFS world, right? Where one agent is working with one EFS agent could possibly be working with many Allstate agents. We have the same relationship in the independent world, where you could be a partner agency that has access to broader market, right? That partners with many agents, and they need a way for them to share prospects. They need a way for them to be able to communicate back and forth on the status of that prospect and track all progress and metrics associated with selling Market Access Plus. So we're releasing a new CRM that enables partner agencies and member agencies work together to share market access leads and track those market access leads. So those are the two main things for AgencyZoom. And that's what we're focusing on for QQ. Now, collectively, we're starting to think of obviously both systems integrate together and integrate so well. Collectively, we're starting to think of how we can make it so that you can work out of AgencyZoom, and if you have QQ, it would seem invisible. Like there's no need for you to go to QQ to renew a policy. You should be able to do that directly from AgencyZoom. There's no need for you to go and do anything in QQ outside of maybe like a court forms or commission reconciliation, and the rest of it should be able to you should be able to complete it directly from within AgencyZoom. So I'm starting to think of like how we can make it so that they're almost seamless as one system. You just work out of AgencyZoom, and the integration is so seamless that will make QQ seem invisible. And then, of course, the third piece to that is the rater. I want our agents to be able to quote and complete the entire binding process directly from within AgencyZoom. How amazing would that be? If you just go and add a lead into AgencyZoom, quote that lead, mark it as sold, and take it through the entire service journey and renewal without ever leaving AgencyZoom. That's what we're working towards.
I was just thinking about the flow in my head while you were going over this. It's all about structured data from unstructured data, and who have a better flow of insured journey, right? So I think as all of your competitors trying to figure out how do we offer the journey from A to Z, that's like the client experience is so important.
It is. I mean, you can even take it in the next level up. And I don't think there needs to be, at some point, I feel like the end vision needs to be a simple chat prompt. Like, hey, I just got a new prospect. His name is Jeff Shee. He needs an auto policy. Can you please quote me an auto policy and create a proposal? And then the system will go and do its thing. Review, say, yep, this looks good. Send them the traveler's quote. You receive an email, you reply. And now when you reply, you're chatting back and forth with the AI chat. And then same thing with like service, like, hey, or sales, for example, like, hey, tell me what's my goal for this month. How are you doing comparing to last month? Just being able to just communicate with the system without having to go through a series of different clicks. That's where I see us going. I think from an AI perspective, right now we're at the language model. Like there's not only there's so much that we can do. How much more can ChatGPT get better? There's obviously DeepSeek, et cetera, et cetera. It's all based on the data that's available. I think the next phase is apps, and obviously you've heard about agents. Like, how do we turn all of that thinking into actual actions? And that's where I don't know if you've seen the latest version of ChatGPT. I think it's like $200 a month, their pro version. You can now do the example that I mentioned. You can now literally go into ChatGPT and say, hey, look, I want to book a trip for me and my family to Hawaii for this date. And it will actually go and do that for you. And it will do essentially anything that can be done in a browser. So we're not far off from that. Obviously, the insurance industry is always behind. But for me, my focus for AgencyZooming specifically is to at least be the leader in that space. And we're well on our way to doing so. It's a long journey ahead, but it's fun. There's a lot of changes coming into this industry. And I think one of the biggest things that I notice in this industry is that the willingness to change and adapt new technology is completely different right now than when we started AgencyZoom back then. Agents are now a lot more forward thinking. They're a lot more willing to adapt new technology. And there's a new younger force coming into the space that's making it really exciting for us as technologists to create technology, because it's not so much about teaching and educating as to why you should be doing this. It's more around identifying problems and solving solutions and putting it out there at a much faster pace than we were used to in the past.
I think with public getting comfortable with using AI on their personal cell phones these days and desktops, and then also the main challenge with technology in insurance is unstructured data. You have so many data that didn't talk to each other. There's barriers, there's walls, there's like old version of firewalls blocking all the data from transitioning.
Yes.
And once everybody start adapting to API, Zapier integrations on everything, we're going to see the next 3 years more changes for the better than probably last 15 years.
I hope so. I'm optimistic. And you hit it on. It's the nucleus of the industry is data. I think that's where a lot of our problems stem out of, right? I mean, if you take a system like Ivan's, for example, the concept is great, but it has 450, 500 carriers. I mean, don't quote me on this, out of the thousands of carriers out there. So what does that mean for an agent who has appointments across the board, where some carriers integrate with Ivan's and some carriers don't? That means inconsistency in how they receive their data. That means inconsistencies in how they manage that data and how they can action on that data. That's what that means. And those inconsistencies result into inefficiencies, which means higher cost, more errors, which means more E&O, which means higher costs for the carriers, which means ultimately higher costs for the consumer. So that data problem is a big one. And I think with the new technology that's emerging into the scene, I don't think we're too far off from solving that problem, honestly. And I think carriers know this, and there's a lot less resistance to change from even the carrier perspective. We just need a solution that brings it all together. And I don't think we're far off.
When I was in the captive world, and that bounced back and forth in Facebook groups to going to conferences, from Leads World, Leads Gen, LeadCom, to like insurance conference, local conference, independent conference. And I actually thought that the captive agent had a lot more tools at their disposal than the independent agents. But what I've seen the last 18 months, the tools that the independent agents getting on their hands on compared to like State Farm Farmers Allstate agent, the distance is really starting to show. Like they're leaping ahead by a lot right now. It'd be interesting to see how the whole industry distribution force change in the next 5 years. And also since, you know, you are bridging the world between financial planning, sales, life insurance sales, you know, to just traditional distribution of P&C sales agents. When you said that, I was like, wow, there's really no one is talking about that part, how to offer the third line, the fourth line, the fifth line out of that household, but do it together on a mission. That was really cool. I'll probably going to chat with you offline to see how you guys are doing it, what's the strategy behind it, but that was really cool.
Yeah.
Mo, the next step is I'm gonna come in town, Columbus, Ohio, and trying to grab dinner with you and Toga. So
I'm gonna hold you to it.
I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to it. Yeah.
So Columbus is a great city, man. I love it here. We lived in Chicago for 12 years, and it's good coming back now. A single
Are
man.
you a Buckeye?
I was hoping that you would not ask me that. I mean the biggest Buckeye fan is obviously Toga. He's like he even has his
Yeah.
tailgate and all the shenanigans. I am a exact opposite of that. No, I'm not. I am not. Funny story. Back in 2000, I remember it was like 2002, 2001. We played Michigan and we lost.
Who's we? Ohio?
The state, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I was staying. I think it was. I can't remember where it was, but I was staying on campus. And the next morning, back then, there was like if we lose or if there's anything that has to do that does not go in our favor, students go crazy and they set shit on fire. And that year, my car was one of the 17 cars that got set on fire. It was a blue Ford Focus. It was actually a rental because my car was in the shop. I got into an accident and it was a rental. I remember like yesterday. So I remember going into Progressive and they had the TV on. Like, what idiots would park there? I was like, excuse me, right here, this customer, your car is one of those cars. So yeah, since then I was like, you know what, I am just over it, and at least I use that as an excuse. But I'm just not into football, to be quite honest. So, but well, great chatting with you, man. I would love to catch up with you here in Columbus. Make it out here soon, and we'll make something happen.
That's awesome. Mo, thank you very much for coming on the show. I'm sending you an intake form. You can fill it out and people can follow you, follow your journey on LinkedIn. And looking forward to have you on the show again.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jeff. Take care.